Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. I have gathered a number of household and craft supply items for today's video. Any of you who have thrifted rubber or wood-mounted stamps know that sometimes when you buy them, they haven't been touched at all. In fact, the actual stamp part hasn't been glued to the wood block. So naturally, these are wonderful little pieces of wood to hang on to. So, I guess I should tell you what the goal is today. Because I have registered for Kelly from Collage Labs, Amuse Bush, 52-week thing for 2026, and because I'm doing Catherine Rain's I think it's called Collage Kickstart. In that case, we've been preparing papers through the month of December to begin actually using them in January. And because I got a couple of new gel plates for Christmas, and because I've got mixed media on the mind, morning, noon, and night, I thought that today would be a good day to add to my mark making stash. And it'll allow me to use these guys up. So let me get them out of here, make a little more space. Now I see that this one still no, I don't care about that present, so it would be easy enough. And in fact, when we can't seem to sell some of those early, small stamps, this is another easy way to free up a block. You know, just peel this off. This is so old. Does we have a year on here? 2003. Well, no wonder it came off. Anyway, also in this tray, I'll just get this off because that oh, now this is sticky. I also have thrown in a few spools. Now, we're not going to use them today, but as I empty these spools, I like to hang on to them. Number one, these Gutermann ones make nice smaller circles. That would be an intermediate size. And of course, this one that is flush makes these pie-shaped pieces or marks. And this is just a cover from something. So I'll get rid of this. So yes, I'm surrounded by stuff. Maybe before I show you what I have planned for these pieces, and I don't have a full plan, trust me on that, I should show you what else I've done recently. Now, oh my goodness, I think her name, I'll double check that and be sure to link the right name in the description box. I got hooked on watching, now I don't know if she says Sherry or Cherie. I think her last name is Burlington, but I'll be sure about that. Anyway, she was doing a whole bunch of mark making, and she had made some stamps just by gluing things onto corrugated cardboard. And would you believe, who thought you would ever hear me say this? But because I had cleaned out so much cardboard and backing papers and so on back in the day, I was literally cutting flaps off boxes so that I had some cardboard to work with. Okay, so obviously these are wood pieces. Now, when she glued hers down, she glued them down right side up. But I wanted them to read correctly when they're stamped. So on some letters, like V, it doesn't matter, of course. Anyway, that's how I did it. I also, because I had all my wood pieces out, I also did these keys. again, I was kind of limited by the number, believe it or not, by the amount of cardboard and the size of the cardboard that I had. So I have those keys, a variety of squares, well, and a couple rectangles. Now, one thing you may be able to pick up on, this one and this one are from the same square. I just, with my heavier duty craft knife, like so, was able to get two pieces out of it just to have a more variety in shapes. Then I had a whole bunch of these little guys, and aren't they the cutest ever? Threw in a couple ampersands just because I could. Now this may not work as well as I hope. It's essentially just wrapping elastics of different widths and sort of in different spacing, different directions around a piece of cardboard. But you can see that some of these are so tight that they're making the cardboard bend. So we'll see how that works, or if it does. Trees. I had these tree wooden pieces. Now again, because my cardboard was too small, you may be able to see that I did some pruning. I did some pruning, some reattaching. I didn't want to have two, I couldn't fit two identical ones of these. I only had one of these. So it kind of annoys me that that doesn't reach the end, but it doesn't matter. Some flower shapes, some miscellaneous punctuation type shapes, and that is that for gluing wood pieces on and using elastic. When I was in the basement looking for something, I came across these coasters that I had thrifted at some point. Lily of the Valley, some kind of estate type. I know, because I cut off the bottom part with the, the branding of the place, and these are cork, and I would say leather, perhaps. Anyway, doesn't matter. I think leather. I don't know what this is. Some kind of berries and a flower. Anyway, I cut off the part that would have not been good. And we shall, in a future episode, see if these work. And then the other thing that I did was I cut this out. And again, this isn't perfectly flat because, sometimes cardboard boxes are, they've been through the mill. Okay, so I have, before I turned the camera on, I was still hooked on wood pieces, and I thought, you know what, I could probably, and this is the biggest wood chunk I have, although I'm sure if I looked hard I could find more. These are almost a bit too cutesy, to be honest. However, maybe I'm getting more interested in cutesy and fun and frivolous and whimsical. Obviously, I eliminated some that were too big, and I didn't care for that. Really looks like a cartoon owl, and that is probably a bit boring. So I eliminated those. And out of these birds, I had other birds. Now this, of course, is the same as this. Those two are the same. So I could have used these fat little bird on a branch, but I don't know. Or do I like that more than this? That might be a better shape. So what I'm going to do, and maybe I should do that right now. To be honest, in the video that I watched, the inspiration video that I watched, the woman used not matte medium, but gel medium. And I'm thinking, boy, that seems like an expensive kind of adhesive. So I used my Aleene's Tacky Glue, and it worked like a hot damn. Whoopsie. So grab the bird by the tail. And so I'm just going to stick with what works. Now, On these, they're virgin wood, so there is no right or wrong side. I guess I could. And then, you know, I just let time and gravity do its thing. On the cardboard, once the things had adhered, I turned them over and put a weight on them. But other than that, you know, they seem to be sticking perfectly well. And of course, there is no comparison in the price of the glue. It was very fiddly gluing, especially those little teensy-weensy letters of the alphabet, but I did it. Probably being a little generous with the glue, but again, if I'm going through this process, it would be better if it only took one attempt to do it. I do have, well, I don't need this for this. I didn't know what video I was doing. I do have Fabri-Tac, and I do have E6000 on standby if necessary. Okay, so we'll let those dry while we're talking about some other options. The other thing, before I started using those wood pieces, I also thought about I didn't realize these were stickers. Obviously, this is kids' stuff. Look at that, I paid 50 cents for it back in the day. And because I was using some of these in the baby books, I had pre-sorted them by color, just because it makes it easier. So let's just pick, I think on one of these really small blocks, maybe that one that's already sticky from that label, I think I'd like to put an H if I can find one. Just because I should have done that before the capitals would be too big for, you know what, I might have pulled all the H's out just because I'm crazy that way. I'll look through one more bag. If I don't find an H quick, like I'll just pick something else. You know, obviously this will give a different sort of look than a wood piece would, than a woodchuck would. However, all's fair in love and mixed media. Sorry, you probably couldn't see white against white anyway. Which is a bigger one here? Maybe this purple. So I hope that the new year has been kind to you so far. I guess I could also maybe do an X or an A. Those are kind of symbolic letters. A W is kind of stylistic, but it would take a big block. Though I want to use up this could be double as an M also. I was probably goofy enough to take all the H's out. I have been throwing H's in a special place, so maybe let's pretend that I did that option as well. And as you can see, that if you buy these through a thrift store, you get a lot of bang for your buck, or for your 50 cents. I'll put that aside, and we will not worry about that option right now. Okay, so what else do I have? Well, as I was looking over hill and dale, I came across this chewed up sanding block. So I thought, okay, I could glue. I'd have to trim it though. Be nice and cushy. I would pick the chewed up side, and then I would continue to sort of destroy it a little further with, pinching out sections. Oh yeah, that works. Maybe going at it with my pokey tool, that sort of thing. Now I could have picked a new one, of course, but so maybe what I will do, I should probably roughly try to cut this down first so I don't have... Boy, that doesn't... I guess it's going. Okay. And then the rest I will probably just... Maybe I should trim that off right now. I was going to say I could trim it off after the glue has set, but that might not be so efficient. And I'm hoping that, obviously this makes some interesting marks. Could probably try cutting this with scissors as well. It's like back in the day when we had our shop and used a lot of styrofoam for silk floral arrangements or whatever. I was constantly cutting styrofoam, usually with a serrated knife, like a bread knife. Okay, let's stick with what works. In this case, I'm putting it on the wood. And these pieces are so very nice. They could be used for other things, and I'm sure I probably have dozens more. These just all happen to be in the same place at the same time. So maybe I'll just... And hopefully by the time we do a few more of these, some of these will be dry enough to test out. Then you'll know from my experience or from my experiment whether or not you should bother with a particular idea. I did bring my bag of elastic bands out because winding or stretching them over a piece of wood would be a more stable stamp than what I did over cardboard. But again, with elastics, they kind of have to be the right size. I should also say that years ago, before I had a channel, my husband cut me a bunch off, maybe this one. See, that's a bit loose. Cut me a bunch of little, maybe 2x2 pieces of wood, like 1x2 lumber. These are all going to be, or how about if I double them up? And I made myself about 12 or so. Oh, see, and then you have the option. You can use both sides. I made myself a bunch of mark making. Hey, I might even have that handy to show you. I know I showed it not so long ago. Now, the thing to remember here is only the thing that actually makes contact with the paint or the stamp is going to show. So here's a thicker one. I mean a wider one. So they're all, once you start thinking about the options, there are all sorts of tactile things And again, by changing the spacing, you change the look of the mark that will be made. Let's throw a couple more on there. I guess I could go crooked, although it doesn't seem to be my preferred style. And I think trying to keep it as flat as possible will help in the long run. Because it has to, whatever it is that a person is putting on these blocks, only what makes contact is going to make a mark. So if it doesn't touch, doesn't get coated, then clearly it can't make a mark. Okay, so you get the idea. And in fact, maybe just for the heck of it, we should make a mark with that just to see. Now you can see how that's all bunched up. Let's try it that way and see what happens. You know, once I bought, and they were brand new, I bought some elastics at the, I don't know, one of the dollar stores. And when I opened them, the smell and the off-gassing from the rubber was just sickening. I tried airing them out. I don't know if I tried freezing them, but I could not ever get rid of the smell. So what is the issue here? So obviously some of these, I don't know why this purple one didn't make a better mark. Oh, because this is taller, higher, and it prevented good contact. Maybe if I slide this over a bit. So just keep that in mind when you're trying. The nice thing about using these stamp blocks, let's see, that's better, is that you've got this little grippy divot here and some actual depth. You know, it's a little easier to handle than, you know, a piece of cardboard. Okay. Oh, I said I would wait till it's, oh, that really grabbed. Okay, what the heck? Let's just try this. Now this, there will be, obviously where it's not making contact, those will show up as holes in the cheese. Get good pressure on there. Now the thing, oh, that's disappointing. Okay, let's leave this one. We'll try it again later. I was going to say I do have some paint nearby, but then I would have to quickly wash it out, so we don't want to do that. Now, the other thing I was wondering about is this crumpled up foil. Actually, let's test it without, because it might be a waste of a block if I were to glue crumpled up foil. See, it's not picking up very well. I know what I should be using. Just an office stamp pad. I think it could be the fault of the stamp pad. Let me just quickly try. Sorry, I have to dig in my stationery cupboard here. I hope that I did not ruin this stamp pad. I realized that the re-inker that I used on it the other day I don't think that's picking anything up. You'd need an awful lot of something. Makes kind of interesting marks, but probably not worth the effort. We can do better than this, I would say. Yeah, maybe it depends a lot on the juiciness of the stamp. Okay. Now the other thing I wondered about were cutting up a skewer. Oh, look out with the warp in that. Well, I also have these round toothpicks. And what are these called? Chopsticks. I guess now the issue here would be that they get thinner. So these would all be the same style, I guess. Oh no, these would be different than with the purple. Oh, this has a design in it. Maybe I'm better off sticking with the toothpicks. Let's do a little testaruno on that. Come on. Oh my goodness. Why is that not? Well, that has a cover on it. That's weird. Maybe I never took that apart. Okay. Whoops. So maybe what I'll do here is just slather some glue on here. See, the reason I thought tacky glue would work is that it kind of reminds me of wood glue. So I'm just basically centering, well, not exactly centered, but I'm basically laying these down where the thickness, whoops, maybe it'll be more interesting if I angle them. Where the thickness is the same. In other words, I'm not going at the end where it's all tapered. And of course, after this has secured itself, this is like playing pickup sticks. Does anyone remember pickup sticks? Just going to cut the skinny part off this. That's not the neatest thing I've ever seen. Didn't really want to use my scissors if possible. So that I could stick one in here. here? That should be interesting. Okay, so once that's dried, I should be able to, maybe with wire cutters or something, cut off the part that extends beyond. Okay, so what else? A long time ago, I had these, I thrifted, where's my staple puller? I thrifted a package of these textural, can't find my lazy Susan doesn't want to turn. Let's use a screwdriver. I guess I found a package of these little foam sheets with designs on them. I thought, oh, wouldn't those be great for mark making? So, of course, I stapled them to, I don't know, that's probably big for a toilet paper roll, maybe a paper towel roll, or anyway, some kind of a tube. But you can see that despite putting tape there, I guess I didn't, I don't know, maybe glue hadn't been invented yet. I didn't try gluing it down. And unless you have a mechanism for rolling a spool, it just doesn't work very well. And you can ask me how I know that. So I thought, okay, why don't I, since I haven't been able to use this, why don't I just cut a piece of it off, glue it down to a little wood block, and then I will have, I'll have a way to use it. And in fact, in one of the assignments that Catherine Rains had for paper making, for collage paper making, it was to, collect your used toilet paper rolls and slip them over a paint roller handle and roll some designs on there. Well, of course, I had a million little rollers and a bunch of refills for them, but not a single size worked with the toilet paper rolls that I managed to scrounge up. So that was annoying as can be. Okay, so maybe we'll use this biggest one here because these others are getting pretty tiny. So I'm just going to roughly maybe try to get that as close as possible. So that it fits. Where are my scissors? Lost in the chaos here. That's what happens when I try cleaning it. Oh, buried under my things of my wood pieces. Oh, I have the cutest. I love puzzle pieces, but of course that's too big. And look at these snazzy things. Stilettos. Okay, back to the job at hand. So I think once you start looking around your house, see, my mark making wasn't the greatest. Oh, that should be very nice. This one I will let dry face down because you can see there's a little bit of a curvature in there. So this, in case you can't tell, has those little tiny circles on it. Whoops, Very slippery with all that glue. Put that baby down. Okay, so now this is that gripper stuff that you put under a rug or use as shelf liner. Like, is that not the best color ever? Like, it started out as this sort of aubergine color, and you can see that I've used it for, so maybe, I think I might have one of these. I have this piece of ribbon too. It's got a wired edge. Now I can't remember if I've been using this as a stamping thing. You know what? Let me stop in mid-sentence. When I knew that I saw this recently. This was what I had made on those blocks. So that would be the clingy. Is that the same design? Sort of that clingy stuff. That is the adhesive-backed stuff that you use for doing drywall when you're before you tape drywall. Obviously, I think this is just cardboard. This is bubble wrap. Not sure what that is. Not sure about some of these other things. So, okay. Good to know. And I also have this. This was part of a, see, it's wired and I cut it off its other, but I'm thinking, wouldn't this work like a hot damn if it worked? Sort of botanical looking. So let's cut a chunk of this out. And again, I could, there shouldn't be any, I think the wire just goes through this main stem. So hopefully you can see something. I'll just cut it a bit bigger than necessary. Yeah, there's no wire in there. And, you know, what this makes me want to do is rush around in the basement. Again, only the parts that make contact will actually do any stamping. So, maybe on this one I should use the Fabri-Tac. And again, have it dry face down. Or put my sat iron on top of it. And in this case, we don't care if the glue is visible after the fact. You know, whether it's colored glue or clear glue, not going to matter one teensy bit. I want to try to get maximum coverage here. So let's just roughly or accurately trim this. Oh, pretty gooey, I must say. And of course the debris is flying everywhere. It seems, whoops, I lost a piece. It seems very flush at this point. You know, like the whole thing would make contact. I will show you another couple of ideas. This is part, I need to move this over. That has nothing on it. glued down so it doesn't need pressure. Okay, this is obviously the corner of a plastic tablecloth that I have used. Now I'm not going to cut into this beautiful design because it's big. Why would I do that? But maybe what I could pick is something like this, because you can see that that's about all the room I have for on this. And I think that, you know, there's that flower, but again, it's too big. Yeah, I think that's about my best bet. So let's just hack a chunk of this off. I was so happy when I found that. Now, choices. This is the side that is raised. So I guess if we wanted to act like a stamp as opposed to a mask, maybe I should try trimming around this. Then it even creates more of a raised effect. Anyway, it is still December as I'm taping this, and it has been snowing and snowing and snowing. And it is honestly like a full-time job to try to keep the snow, to keep our sidewalks and driveway and yard passable. Now, we came home from the city on Christmas Day, and our road, we were the ones making the track on our road. The snowplow has still not gone by, and it is now the 28th. Okay, I think that fits the best. Maybe I'll go back to the tacky glue, and again, I'll just cover it. Now, what I should be doing, I suppose, is using my little silicone spreader. Something is preventing my, there it is, my lazy my lazy Susan from turning freely. Could it be desk debris? Okay, I don't know how long this is all taking, but we'd better get on with it so that we can test a few more of these. Now, the other thing, but I'm probably will not, this is probably a dollar store thing. So I would say this is a non-skid pad for a tub or a shower. Now, what you can't tell, and I just discovered, this side is raised, this side is concave, which means this would be the side that should go up. So I've got a couple of these sizes left and this eensy beensy one. So let's figure this out. I'm never going to have room for two. This is the highest point, so this would not even make contact. So let's just cut off one of these guys and use the smallest wood block that I have. Now, of course, I will be using this on my gel plate and see what, if anything, it does. So I'm going to trim all this extraneous stuff off. Anyway, I'm hoping that, and not only is it, it hasn't snowed today. I don't know if there's any in the forecast, but it's cold and windy, so that means it's been drifting. And of course, when it's drifting, you can barely stay ahead of the game. And the higher the banks, either from the higher the snow banks, you know, after the grader has, or the snowplow has gone, the narrower the road becomes and the easier it is for subsequent drifting. Now, I don't want to have to fill that all with glue, so let's hope that going around the perimeter is going to be good enough. And then we'll start doing some testing. Oh, didn't do anything with this. Should I, let me try to pull the wire out because I don't really want to ruin my scissors, even though it is an awfully fine wire. I did see the end of it a second ago. And I keep these pieces of wire because you never know when you need a little tiny fine wire. Come on. Okay, so let's see. We need a very small piece. There was another piece of something like this, but on a like a yard good size that I had that I was also considering. But as I said, I'm sure that I'm going to, I think the tacky glue might be better in this case, because if I lay on the Fabri-Tac too thick, then it could fill up some of those spaces. And of course, if it's filled up, it's no longer a stamp with a raised surface. This would be very subtle. And of course, you know, as I said, what I tried was a stamp pad or stamp pads. But the other option always is acrylic paint as well. Oh, I got glue on my scissors. So isn't this the cat's meow? Okay, we'll give that some time. We will attempt to get some glue off there. Okay. I think I inked up my black, so let's try that for a little juicier. Okay, give this guy a shot again. Now, it could be because this was a used now I think we're cooking with gas. Because this was a used block, I guess it stands, now you can see it's getting darker. It could also be that all the little tiny cells that would have been available to fill with ink have been filled with, you know, dust. Oh, that is so disappointing. But I won't give up just yet because I will try it with paint. Okay, let's try the owl. And of course, any first time stamps are going to, you know, some of that or that, you know, the first time until it sort of the porous material of the stamp will soak up some of the, well, that's not good. So far, we're batting 100 here. And I know for a fact that I just re-inked this not so long ago. Again, you know, sometimes when you use a stamp for the first time, it is bad. Now, it doesn't help that it's probably an uneven surface under this old calendar. Okay, that's a little bit better. Let's try the elastics on this one. Oh, let's try this same side. Okay, not bad. Again, that part doesn't make contact, so. And yet it's kind of nice to have that crisscross effect there. So that, okay, what do we have under here? We've got, oh, that barely had time to dry. Maybe we can try this one. Okay. This might be the biggest success. Oh, that's pretty nice. And you can see the more I rubbed where it hit the back of it, it also, you kind of have that shadowy effect. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that one. Oh, I didn't put anything on this one. That's still drying. That's still drying. Let's try this. Toothpicks. Let's try the toothpicks. This will be fine because those are round toothpicks, so only the roundest of the round will actually get any ink on it. Gently, ever so gently. Hold, hold, hold. That's like when we want to put Gertie through her paces before she gets a treat. She has to sit and then paw and then, well, that's not very good. Let me try this red. Okay, so sit, paw, left, and then we shoot her, and she has to roll over and play dead. And then I always say, stay, 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 because the discipline, you know, of stay. You can't just pop up to get your treat. If you're dead, you're dead. Oh, that is sad. That is just sad. Let's try this little red guy. I mean, this stamp pad probably needs re-inking. If you want a smudgy circle, I guess it's okay. Uh-oh. See, don't do that. It's not dry. Show some patience, for heaven's sakes. Okay, we didn't try this one. I'm thinking I need to try a different stamp pad. Mulberry's usually pretty good. I wonder if there's some resistance because of the glue. And I'm probably rushing this. That's bad too. Is this dry enough to try? Well, hasn't this been just one of those awesome ideas? That doesn't look like it picked up anything. Barely. Okay, enough is enough. We have to try some paint. Okay, paint. Let's use this as a palette. Let's use... but then, okay, so it'll be one simple attempt. Oh, here's a beautiful piece of paper. And then, of course, these things will have to go quickly and be washed. Can I? Oh, let me use my wire cutters. Wire cutters. Wire cutters. Oh, wonder where those things are flying. Certainly nowhere within sight. Okay, so these, I don't know about this one. We'll give these, we didn't try this one. Let's have an outright failure on all of them. And oh, that went on the wood. That's the problem with very thin. Oh, at least this is picking up the color. Oh, maybe that is the most promising of them all. Okay, we're going to quickly. This is going to be thick. Maybe I need a little bit of a brayer here. You can see this is a gigantic tube of paint, so it was one of the ones I'm using, the Catherine Rains collage kickstart, is it? Maybe a palette knife instead of dirtying a brayer. Spread this, get this a little. Okay. Let's try. Oh, that's the problem with not having the paint kind of. Oh well. So what went wrong there? This probably wasn't the smartest idea I've ever had, and I'll tell you why. Whoops. That was operator error. Again, you know, if we were looking for a perfect impression, well, this isn't it. However, that would be perfectly fine for mixed media. It probably wouldn't hurt if I had something cushier underneath here while I was stamping. Anyway, what I was going to say is that this probably wasn't the smartest idea, because if I want to wash this, that's going to probably weaken the glue that is still in the process of drying. Okay, one. Honestly, this is just... You know what? You may never see the light of day unless we get a success here pretty soon. This may never see the light of day. How did these elastics migrate over there anyway? Believe it or not, I have stamped with paint before. Well, that's not so bad. Again, it does deposit a fair bit of paint in certain areas, like where of the area of the overlap here. So that's probably not the greatest. You know, the good news in all of this, if the one lousy silver lining is that because this is one of my colors for the Catherine Rains thing, I can use this paper. Oh, that's nice. That looks like crackle. Oh, yeah. Yes, I like this. Okay, let's try this one. And again, maybe the simple solution here was not to dip it in such thick paint. Oh, you see, because some of that design is at a lower level, the ink or the paint will never make contact with that part. Not bad. Well, thank goodness. So either, you know, and what I'll do after the video, I guess, is re-ink my jet black again and see if I can get some decent results with ink. Let's try this one. Now this, oh, this is going to be awful because it's just going to be a blur, because now all the space between the tiny little dots has all been filled up. Oh, but it does create something textural. I'll lift it up soon and show you. Ah, you know what? I still like it. There you can see, you know, the lighter part. And of course, the varied value of light and dark is really cool too. Yeah, now that's going to need some washing very quick like. Try this coral or whatever it's supposed to be. This should be able to take more paint because it's thicker. I don't know why some of those areas are not getting, I guess they're lower down. Yeah, I shouldn't have gone for that thicker stem area. So I might have to rip that off and try a more consistent. Yeah, it's just picking up the main branches. Which I guess is better than nothing, but not good enough to keep. So I should yeah, that's not good. I'll try to scrape that off. Maybe let's do that right this minute. Because I've got some residue from the stamp, some ridges from the glue. That was Fabri-Tac, so that's sort of why it's rolling, and that's why this may be salvageable. I don't know, can you hear the tractor? My husband's out there trying to clear a path to the garage. And you know, the thing is, when you've been shoveling, or when he's been shoveling the sidewalk for weeks now, it seems, the banks of the snow that you're throwing is, you know, get so high. And then, of course, you have to keep throwing it higher and further. So I said to him, you know, maybe you can use the bucket on the tractor and just pull some of that snow back so that, okay, I think that's, I'm pretty sure I could glue something over this and it would still be fine. Okay, let's try this thing while I still have some paint that hasn't. Now this will really be a mess to clean up because it is porous. Trying to apply even pressure, but clearly missed that corner. Just, you know, not really pressing down on it, or trying not to. Oh, that is pretty good. Too bad that's such a hole there in the middle. But again, you can imagine that if I don't really pressing down hard here, if I don't wash this quick, like all those little, you know, just imagine that's lung tissue. Oh, and see this low part here is not touching the paint at all. This is me pressing down. Oops. Left some sponge debris on there. Okay, I think that this is better than I hoped. Maybe let's just try the owl. Can probably get enough on there to that is some sponge debris again. Oh, he's not even fully inked, so pretty hard. You know, it could be that the wood was slightly warped. This will be the last one, obviously. I'm not pouring out any more paint. Whoops. That's some kind of a chunk. Is that a piece of wood? I think so. Something just broke out there. Oh, come on. And then I have to rush to the sink. This, I don't know, there may be hope for, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, okay, let's put this misery to an end. I would say good, really good, meh, fair to middling, really good, possibilities. So again, you know, when these things are fully dry, have been separated, you know, but torn apart and separated, they will take on a whole new look. And of course, they're kind of small enough that they could work in the Catherine Rains exercise because in that case, I think she wants us working on 4x4, 5x5 collages in the end. So, you know, these sizes are pretty well perfect for that. Okay, I'd better go and start washing some stuff up. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here. I think what this has proven is that that you don't know how it's going to work out till you actually try it. But avoiding the mistake. Oh. You know what? Let's just look at this for a second. So you can see on the back side, this center rib is really raised. So is that and that. If I were to go with an area at the outer edge here, mind you, both sides are rounded. Anyway, I have to rethink that. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being here. I'm sorry that this has been, you know, almost more flop than success. But again, you got to watch me do it, and it prevented you from having to do it. Oh, see, we don't have anything to. Maybe I can get some paint on here. That's just going to be a smudge. A bloody fingerprint? I wouldn't rule that out as being worth something. Anyway, guys, we shall see you in the next one. Thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry that this went on so long for such dubious results. Oh, I can't win them all. Okay, thanks. Bye.